Hey, what's up? Today I'm going to be giving a film review for Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now, this is the seventh film in the main Star Wars film series because you know they have like spin offs like the Clone Wars and I think like the Ewok films and stuff like that, as well. But this is actually like the seventh film in like the series, so it's actually considered episode 7, but they don't actually have it like in the main title itself, like they did with the prequels. They don't really have it like that, they just call it Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now, this particular film is not directed by George Lucas this time. It's actually directed by J.J. Abrams, the one who did like the Star Trek reboot. He's also known, I think, for like producing like Cloverfield, but I think he directed Super 8, films like that. So he's actually, from my opinion, he was actually a good director to direct this film. Which in the end, it does turn out to be a good Star Wars film. I really enjoyed this, and I plan on seeing it again. That's one of the things I'm kind of worried about, because I know if I see it again, I might like it even more. So it probably would have given even better to me. That's why I don't like to give like a final verdict until actually seeing the film like multiple times. But yeah, so this film it is set like 30 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, which was actually the third Star Wars film released, but actually considered the sixth film in the main overall series. It's actually episode 6. So this is actually like 30 years after Return of the Jedi. So like after the Empire was destroyed, you have like this new like descendant of the Empire known as the First Order. So they're basically like the Empire continued on, but they are known as the First Order. So they have like the usual like stormtroopers and stuff like that, and like what I'm saying, they have like a new they don't consider them Sith Lords this time. They're actually considered called, I think, like the Knights of Ren or something like that. Because this guy, he's known as Kylo Ren, and I'm not going to spoil the film, but it's kind of cool, that they actually did kind of keep like elements from like the expanded universe, which I was a fan of, like the books and stuff like that. Certain stuff they actually did kept, but they just changed like the names of like the characters and so on and stuff like that, or certain things that happen, they kind of changed around, but they did keep elements from the expanded universe. So I'm kind of excited they gave respect and a shout out to like those authors and stuff like that, or like the fans like me who read those books for so many years, that they did still keep like the elements themselves from those books. But yeah, you have like Kylo Ren. He's leading like the first. Well, he's not really leading the First Order, but there is like a new presence too. Like as far as like the First Order goes, that's kind of similar to the Emperor, but he's not the Emperor or whatever. He kind of resembles the Emperor. Now I'm still kind of confused if this is that actually his size, because when they're talking to him, it's like it's through a hologram, but it's like very like massive, like he looks very massive. But I do remember the Emperor even like that too, like Palpatine, whenever he had like talks with say like Darth Vader or anything like that, his hologram was also like very massive. So I don't believe that this guy that they're talking to, I don't think he's really that massive. It's probably just a hologram that like that. And I like how they kept like the technology of the hologram too, being that it's like 30 years in the future. Far as Star Wars films goes, it's actually 30 years in the future, so you can tell that the hologram itself is actually it's updated. It looks better than the ones that like Palpatine was using during like the prequel era, or say like during like Empire Strikes Back and those kind of films, or when Leia used it, when she put like the hidden plans for the Death Star in R2D2 from the first Star Wars, or Episode 4, New Hope, like the hologram she uses much a big improvement over even that. But yeah, the film is like 30 years after Return of the Jedi, and the main plot of the film is that Luke Skywalker himself, he went missing, so they have to find out what happened to him. So along the way, you have like familiar characters showing up, say like Han Solo, he returns. Then you have like Chewie, then you have Princess Leia, R2D2, C3PO, all of them make return appearances in the film franchise, which is another big bonus for like me, because what I'm saying, it's nice to see like the old gang from like the original trilogy like show up again in this new film. So that was like a plus from my opinion. I'm excited about that. And it's like Han and Chewie, they still have that same like chemistry, like Harrison Ford as a Han Solo, they still have like that same chemistry, as well. You have Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, and she does still seem similar to how Princess Leia was like in the original trilogy, So I thought that was cool. So yeah, that's basically like the plot of the film. They're trying to find out what happened to Luke Skywalker. He's been missing for a while. He even left behind his droid R2D2, which is actually shut down too. R2D2 is actually shut down throughout the film, because Luke was no longer there. But at the same time, you have new characters introduced into like the stories, and I guess you could say these are like the meat of the films themselves, of the film itself. You know, you have this character known as Rey, and she's like a female scavenger. Cause her opening scene, she's like scavenging like this star destroyer that crash landed on the planet of Jakku. And this supposed to happen right after the events of Return of the Jedi, not 30 years, but kind of I think like within a year. I think it was like months to a year after Return of the Jedi, like the Star Destroyer that she is scavenging, you know, whatever. So you find out that she's a scavenger. She's like scavenging parts to get money, you know, like to survive and stuff like that. But then that's basically what her story is. But it turns out she has an important role in the film, which is kind of cool. And it turns out, you know, they don't really stress that she's like actually one of these main characters from out the books that I'm a fan of, you know, but she just has a different name. And I thought that was so cool, you know. They don't really stress it, but I could tell that's who it was, you know. Then you have like this other character known as Finn, and he was like a stormtrooper who was trying to escape that life of being a stormtrooper. He didn't want to be a stormtrooper no more. So he somehow ends up on the planet, I think it's Jakku, with Finn, I mean not Finn, but with Rey, and they somehow team up together, you know, because there's like this droid that is carrying like the location of where Luke Skywalker supposedly is. So that's basically what they're doing. They both join in. They want to find out what Luke Skywalker is and everything like that. Now in the film, Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, they are actually considered like legendary, almost like myths. So a lot of people don't even believe that they even existed and stuff like that, you know. But it turns out that they did, you know, as well. But it's like a lot of spoilers in the film. I mean, like a lot of major events, like and tragic and kind of like sad events if you're like fans of the franchise. But I'm not going to spoil any of that, you know. So basically, like, the plot of the film, they're just trying to find out what Luke Skywalker is and stuff like that, you know. And Mark Hamill does return as Luke Skywalker, not the spoilers, you know. But like in the film itself, you know, I thought I really enjoyed this. I thought J.J. Abrams did a good job on it. You know, it had good pacing. Like the action sequences were awesome. Like I said, they had like a dog fight. Well, not like a dog fight, but like an escape with like the Millennium Falcon. When it was trying to like the stormtroopers actually chasing like Rey and Finn when it was escaping, you know, I thought that scene was kind of cool, you know. I thought that was like an awesome scene, you know. Plus, like the lightsaber battles they have in the film, they felt more like the original trilogy, how their battles were, you know. They weren't like how the prequels were, you know. Like the prequels like were very like flashy and fast, you know. But the lightsaber battles that they had, and there wasn't really that many, you know. Like they had one kind of towards the end, I don't want to spoil it, you know. That was kind of similar, you know, to like the original trilogy, you know. But it was cool though. I thought it was cool. And other action sequences were cool too as well, you know. And I like how they didn't like the visual effects. They didn't use too much CGI in it too as well, you know. It was like a lot of CGI effects, but it wasn't really like too much, you know. They just kept it like looking like very real and lifelike, you know, and stuff, which I thought was cool, you know. I thought the new villain, I like his look, but I didn't really care for his mask. So like Kylo Ren. I thought his outfit was cool, you know, and he also takes off his mask and stuff like that, you know. I thought that was cool. They had a nice touch. And there was like a major thing about him in the film too as well, which I thought was cool because it turns out that he was actually like one of the characters out of the books, but they kind of changed it around somewhere, you know, like his name is different and stuff like that, which I thought was cool. But yeah, in the end, I thought the Star Wars The Force Awakens, it definitely has me looking forward to like the next two, because there's supposed to be 2 more films in the franchise, you know, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing those 2 as well, you know. At the end, I think I would be giving Star Wars The Force Awakens, I would give this a B. It was like a good film, very good film, but it kind of, from my opinion, it kind of dragged towards the end, you know. It was kind of like draggy, you know, and everything. And some of the lines, I see like Kylo was saying, he was cool, but I thought it was still kind of like cheesy and stuff to a certain extent, you know. It was kind of cheesy, but it was still cool. But then I would be giving this a B. And this is my review for Star Wars The Force Awakens. Alright, may the Force be with y'all.